Let's go. Welcome to the weekend. It is Good Morning Football Weekend presented by Bass Pro Shops. Okay, this is how we do it on a Saturday morning.
That's how we do it on the weekend. That's how we do it.
Hey, welcome. We
Thank
vibe.
you. I love it. We've got three-time Pro Bowler DeAngelo Hall. I don't know he moves like that.
Yeah.
Of
He be dancing all the time.
Me? With my solo, with my ISO.
Casual. Oh.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
You were used to the TV game now. All the terminology.
With the stars. Okay, I'm just saying. I turned it down.
A Super Bowl champion, Michael Robinson. I haven't talked to you in a while. You still in all the way, both hands on the Bills?
Yes, both hands on the Bills. Now, maybe they don't win the whole AFC East, but they will get into the playoffs. We'll get it. We'll get to that.
And Jeezy, Mike Garofolo, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. A little more aerodynamic today.
You're looking
I see you, bro. I see you.
Love it. I am in for Colleen Wolfe, who we
roof
miss
is off.
dearly here from
Completely.
NFL Films on a Saturday morning. You can see Colleen tomorrow, bright and early, 7 a.m. Eastern. She is on NFL
Get some
Game Day
sleep,
Kickoff because we've got a game in London at 9:30 on NFL Network.
That's
It's
early.
the Jags and the Texans. Now, don't forget to tweet us over the next 3 hours. Use the hashtag GMFB. And we start by looking at two huge games this weekend, pairing teams with winning records. The big one in Baltimore, the AFC North leading Ravens host the undefeated Patriots, and the other takes place at Arrowhead, where they've lost 3 straight at home. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings visiting the Chiefs. And that's where we start our walkthrough this morning. That always happens in sweatpants, right?
Something like that.
Not
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
The big question mark for Kansas City is at quarterback. There's hope. Reigning MVP Patty Mahomes returns from a dislocated kneecap that he suffered back in Week 7. He's listed as questionable after being limited in practice all week. We all saw him get those pregame reps in last week in Week 8. On the flip side, Cousins and the Vikings bring a 4-game win streak to KC. Rob, what's the key to this one?
Well, you know, everybody's raving about Kirk Cousins throwing the football downfield. He has excellent numbers, but the reason why he's having so much success is because they have a real run game that you have to worry about. And when you have 7 guys in the box, 7 guys to stop the run, that leaves one-on-one on the outside, and Kirk Cousins has been explosive throwing the football down the field with a lot of guys in the box, over 1,000 yards, 85 completions, 12 touchdowns with 7 defenders in the box. If they want to be successful tomorrow, he has to continue to be explosive down the field with everybody in the box trying to stop Dalvin Cook.
I want to say nobody's playing better football than Kirk Cousins the past couple of weeks, but then there's Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. They're going for 5 straight, taking on the Chargers. Aaron Rodgers has 9 total touchdowns over the last 2 games, while the Chargers barely beat the Bears last week. And by the way, they fired their OC, Ken Wisenhunt, on Monday. D-Hall, what's sticking out in this one?
Well, it's Aaron Rodgers. You alluded to that point, Kay. Look, Aaron, the last couple of weeks has been phenomenal. Phenomenal the last couple of weeks. But then you take it back to the first 6 weeks of the season, and it's like, hey, is Aaron and this Matt LaFleur offense really going to be able to get it done? And so for me, it's the consistency. Can Aaron continue to get better? You talked about 9 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He had 9 the first 6 games. And so for me, it's all about Aaron Rodgers. We know what this defense can do. If Aaron can continue to catapult this offense to where we've seen these last 2 weeks,
Scary.
Or NFC Championship game against the Saints. I'm calling it right now. Let's go.
Let's keep it in the NFC North. Chicago goes to Philadelphia. Rematch of the double doink game from last year's playoffs.
Jeezy going to kick.
Is right. And the Bears fans still living in a kicking nightmare. Let's all relive history. Eddie Pinheiro missed that 41-yard field goal to lose on the final play of the game last week in a very Charger-esque fashion. Garofolo, what do the Bears need to watch out for tomorrow against the Eagles?
They need to watch out for Deshaun Jackson coming back to play. The expectation is that he will be a go for the Eagles after being limited in practice all week long. Limited, so, you know, not saying that he's going to be fully immersed in the game plan like they did week 1 with the Redskins when they dialed up stuff, wanting to get him the ball down the field. I think it's going to be a little bit more dialed back here just to make sure he gets through the game here. We'll see how many snaps he winds up getting, but the fact that he is back there on the field and something you have to account for, huge for this Eagles offense.
This is the biggest game of the year for the Bears, obviously, right? If they lose this one, Jeezy, they're done.
Very well could be.
Could be.
Cowboys Giants at the Meadowlands. It's Zeke versus Saquon. Oh, football gods are good to us. Monday night action in East Rutherford. Dallas has won the last 5 games in the series, by the way. That's impressive, including a 35-17 victory back in week 1. M-Rob, what do you need to see from our guy? Dak Prescott still waiting for that bag of money.
Yeah, he waiting for the bag. You mentioned the running backs, two of the best running backs in the National Football League, but this game is going to come down to whether Dak Prescott can successfully handle the blitz. In their wins this year, Dak Prescott 4 TDs, 0 interceptions, 152 passer rating.
Yikes.
And their losses this year, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 66 passer rating is going to come down to whether Dak can handle the pressure.
All of those games are great. They're real cute, guys. Week 9 is underway, but the big one is the unbeaten Patriots. Yeah, heading to Baltimore to take on the 5-2 Ravens on Sunday night. Alan Chris on the call. Everybody's excited about this when we know how dominant New England's defense has been, allowing just 7.6 points a game.
They ain't played nobody, Kay.
And they've never played anybody. I'll make that argument later. They've never seen a guy like Lamar Jackson in that offense designing runs for him. So Mike Giardi has more in Foxborough on this one.
The Patriots defense has been overwhelming this year. Number 1 in every important statistical category and on pace to make the 2000 Baltimore Ravens and the 1985 Chicago Bears blush with what they're doing. But even the Patriots are finding it difficult to prepare this week for Greg Roman and his quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Bill Belichick, Devin McCourty, and Kyle Van Noy all mentioned that it's almost impossible to get the ideal look from the scout team because, quite frankly, what they do is so different. Lamar, what he does and what he brings with this 4.29 speed and the big arm, you can't replicate. Van Noy also pointed out that this is more like a college offense, and you really don't see it during the course of the year. So you really have to change and play assignment football even more so than usual, because if you don't, Lamar will make you pay.
Here's why I love this one. We're going to learn so much about these two teams. How will Lamar do against the Pats defense? Well, as we know, they've allowed the fewest points in the league. The combined completion percentage against New England down just about 50%. Yikes. They've given up just 2 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. They're the boogeymen. So good luck, Lamar. We're going to talk about this.
That is damn right.
Because they haven't played anybody, Garofolo.
Well, that changes this week.
Now they have to go on the road.
The defenses I played on look good. Oh, my God.
At night. But I want to know, we're going to dig into this game. D. Hall, who is the bigger threat to New England in the AFC? I need this thing to be interesting. Is it Baltimore or is it Kansas City?
You know, for the longest time, I would not stray from the company line, which was KC, offense. But the more and more I watch this Baltimore Ravens team, I think it's Baltimore. I just think hearing Devin McCourty and some of those other guys talk about not being able to really plan for a guy like Lamar Jackson, that's the X factor. They're going to be able to do some of the things they do, and Bill Belichick's going to have those guys prepared. But what do you do when Bill has you in the right spot? But this guy's just faster, Coach. I just can't get there. Like, I've saw that time and time again when I was on the field with a guy like Michael Vick. Then I had to face him. And I was like, wow. You know, I'm telling the coach, this is not going to work putting that dude one-on-one with him. It's going to be interesting to see how they react to the game speed of Lamar Jackson.
And the crazy part about Lamar, which makes him a little different from Mike Vick was, you know, Mike wouldn't run the ball 25 or 30 times.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he'll scramble around. He some exciting plays, explosive plays. But Lamar is one of those guys that if you give him the opportunity to run the ball 30 times, guess what? He'll take it. Every single time he'll run the football. And to me, that's what makes this game a little bit different. And both quarterbacks are going to have to beat man coverage. New England plays man coverage, some of the tops in the National Football League. Baltimore plays man coverage, I think in the top 5 in the National Football League. But both of these quarterbacks, they beat man coverage in different ways. Obviously, Tom Brady gets the ball out of his hands fast, gets it to the playmakers, lets his playmakers do his thing. Lamar, sometimes he's explosive in the passing game with those tight ends down the seams.
Marquise Brown's back.
And Marquise Brown is back as well. And then oftentimes he just outruns the blitzers, outruns the spy, is more athletic than anybody that's going to try to tackle him. So to me, it's going to come down to which one of these quarterbacks are going to be able to beat man coverage.
Specifically for the Baltimore-New England game, do you think that they stick with man coverage, or because Lamar Jackson thrives at that, do they go zone a little bit more?
Yeah, I think they're gonna start off trying that man coverage and see what happens. But at some point, they're gonna have to go to some type of zone.
I'm so interested because you spine with a linebacker, he's faster.
Crazy.
You put a DB in, you can run the
ball. You got mismatches.
Who's the bigger threat, KC or Baltimore?
Listen, Tom Pelissero was a guest on our show a couple of weeks ago, and I think he put it really well. You'd rather game plan against Patrick Mahomes than you would against Lamar Jackson. But Mahomes can still beat you, even though you've got everything covered. You think you've got everything covered just because he can make that throw that a lot of other guys can't make. But with Lamar Jackson, I look at this team and I look at the way that you have to defend them. I mean, you talked about Lamar's running ability or escapability. Then you've got the design runs on top of that. Then you've got their running game, which has that versatility of they can give you power and they can give you finesse on the next play. They can give you a little bit. So there's just so many things. And he can throw the ball. I mean, I keep hearing these offensive coaches around the league saying, well, don't worry, at some point he'll face a real defense and a real coach is going to force him to throw the when? Is this it? I mean, so that's what I'm looking at this week to see because if he performs in this game, there's no more wait for this is it right here.
So all three of you are going Baltimore. You know Kansas City fans are sitting at home having their coffee and their bagels saying, are you kidding me? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the 2 times they faced New England are averaging 35.5 points against it. Patrick Mahomes is coming back. Don't you guys know that?
Yeah, I know that, but he has a knee injury. And when you talk about Baltimore, they play real football.
Yeah.
Well, as a guy in front of me, I'm going to pick you up, move you to the side, and I'm going to go that way. I don't care that you know where I'm going. With Patrick Mahomes in that passing offense, it's a lot of things that got to go right for the passing game to work.
Yeah, the only person more excited about that game, of course, is Bill Belichick, who's going to get to be on NFL Network. Houston up against the Jaguars. Bill O'Brien, a sterling 9-2 in this matchup. Houston won their first meeting with Jacksonville this season with a wild ending back in week 2. It kicks off at 9:30 tomorrow.
36 seconds to go. Texans up 7, 13-6. Minshew rolling to his right.
Locks one up, touchdown! And the Jags are an extra point away from tying this one up. And wait a minute now, Doug Marrone is keeping them out there to potentially go for 2 in the win. They run it up the middle. Fournette, extra effort. And did he get there? No! Leonard Fournette is stopped just short.
Let's go live now to London. Our guy James Palmer is at Wembley Stadium. We are so jealous, but having a great time here in Mount Laurel. You were at the site of tomorrow's AFC South rematch between the Texans and the Jaguars. We saw some highlights of Leonard Fournette out there. He didn't run as much that first week, but he's really gotten it going recently. And Gardner Minshew is my fantasy quarterback. So give us everything we need to know ahead of this one.
Well, okay, about an hour ago, the Jaguars finished their walkthrough on the field behind me, and I was told by a couple people in the organization they expect Minshew Mania to make its way across the pond. When this game kicks off, there's going to be headbands, there's going to be mustaches in the crowd, the whole 9 yards. Now, as we saw there, that was Gardner Minshew's first start in the NFL in Week 2. This is the first time he's facing a team for the second time. This coaching staff got together, watched that Week 2 game, and when they got done watching the film, the 2 biggest things about Minshew that jumped out at them were this. They thought his footwork in the pocket has grown tremendously. They also thought his vision has grown exponentially. Now he knows and reads pre-snap a little bit better how deep the safeties are, where the linebackers are at. When Minshew himself this week went back and watched that Week 2 game, he said it was like watching a completely different quarterback. That's how much he thinks he's personally grown since then. Now, a lot of defenses have done different things to try to confuse Minshew, and what this coaching staff thinks is he is extremely intelligent. When you see one thing, the second time it comes around, he usually is able to dissect it. What the Texans' game plan is, as I talked to those guys in the secondary yesterday, is keep him inside the pocket. Safety Justin Reed told me, I'm not making a comparison to Patrick Mahomes, but when they both get outside the pocket, they love to create, love to do different things. Remember, they don't have J.J. Watt for the rest of the year to try to keep Minshew inside their K, but that's going to be their game plan against a quarterback that they now have a lot of respect for.
Jacksonville's 7th home game in London over there. Of course, Gardner Minshew's making his first trip internationally. We'll see how he does up against Houston, who are over there in the international series for their first time ever. Make sure you set your alarm for tomorrow. And your fantasy lineup, of course, it's Texans-Jaguars kickoff from Wembley at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Pre-game coverage with Colleen Wolfe begins at 7 a.m. and it's only here on NFL Network.
They're down at 3. Pass is caught. Kittle breaks one tackle. Another. Wow, what a touchdown. Garoppolo end zone. Pass is Also left to the line. Garoppolo keeps, passes, caught for the touchdown. Garoppolo, Pettis, touchdown. And another really smart throw from Garoppolo.
Niners are scary. Jimmy Garoppolo was awesome Thursday night. Career high 4 touchdowns, a passer rating of 136.9. These numbers compared to his first 7 games right here. Huge difference. Let's send it over to the guys for some shop talk.
Yeah, it's time for shop talk. I'm here with my OG partner, D Hall. D Hall, first of all, we've been talking about all year. If the game had to lean on Jimmy Garoppolo's arm, could he carry this team, right? What do you think after the performance against the Arizona Cardinals?
And look, for the longest I said no. No, they can't. That's why I didn't believe in this team. Obviously, they still haven't faced a lot of tough competition, so we're still waiting for the back end of that schedule.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say yes, man. Just watching.
It's the Arizona Cardinals,
watching Jimmy G stand in that pocket, get hit right in the mouth and deliver strikes, just pinpoint accurate passes. Look, this is the Jimmy G that can help this team win a Super Bowl. You got Patrick Peterson in coverage, one of the best shutdown corners in the league.
And he gives up touchdowns like crazy.
But if you can beat him, you can beat anybody in this league in man-to-man coverage. Jimmy G showing me that with the playmakers they have on the offensive side of the ball. Emmanuel Sanders, I didn't like the pickup initially. I love it now, seeing what he's been able to do. Watching Kyle Shanahan manipulate defenses and put his guys in position to make plays. I got all the confidence in the world in Kyle and Jimmy G, baby.
And I'm glad you said that. Kyle Shanahan is really the person that I have all the confidence in. Coaching, Sean Payton out there too. Sean Payton out there too. But I will say this, Kyle Shanahan, again, he's always on the assault. He's always pushing the envelope offensively. And I think they're converting over 49% of their third downs, one of the tops in the National Football League. And they do that because they're so good on first down, so good on second down. He does a great job of manipulating defenses and creating leverage. So for that, I'm going to agree with you on this one, but it was the Arizona Cardinals. I have to say that. Kay, back over to you.
There we go with some shop talk. It's a little hot here, and